Gather round, gang. It's time to boogie. Metal Hellsinger is a metal-themed, rhythm-based boomer shooter, developed by the country of Sweden. My experience with rhythm games is limited to Guitar Hero and another game I don't think I'm allowed to mention, and my knowledge of boomer shooters comes purely from my joy of killing Nazis. So you may be surprised to learn that, spoiler, I really enjoyed this game. Like any other rhythm game, Metal Hellsinger is all about that
fat beat.
You do more damage by shooting on beat. Your multiplier, that's this thing up here, also increases when you shoot on beat. Your weapon's ultimate, which makes it do more damage, does more damage on the beat. The point is, the more you work with the beat, the better you'll do. It's a simple gimmick, but a very, very fun one. There were even a few times where I swear the music was responding to how I play. Either that or it was a pleasant coincidence. Combining gun sounds with the rhythm of the soundtrack is something that I'm honestly surprised hasn't been done more. Doom did it that one time. Speaking of Doom, let's talk influences. It doesn't take 1,000 IQ Gigabrain to see where this game got its inspiration. So much so that I wouldn't blame you if you saw the screen right now and said,
Hey, sweet Doom mod, bro.
Some might consider that a strike against this game. But those people, well, they can go fuck themselves. It's a game that wears its influences on its sleeve, and I can't hate it for that. It's an issue that I took with Doom as well, but a major problem with setting a game in Hell is that Hell kinda sucks visually. It's an endless plane of torment and pain, and there's not much you can do with that. However, I will say that there was a genuine effort on the devs' part to make each level look as unique and varied as Hell possibly can be. I didn't play much of Doom Eternal, but a problem I had with 2016 was the fact that all of the environments seemed to look the same. It was either a dingy industrial complex or a field of lava, and if you were lucky you would find a dingy industrial complex in a field of lava. Hellsinger, on the other hand, has you journey through a good chunk of non-lava hellscapes, from more forested areas to icy tundras. It never really feels like you're not in Hell, but at least Hell is a little bit prettier. However, compared to Doom, you're trading beauty for complexity. Doom maps are linear, but they have areas that allow for exploration, secrets to find, and collectibles to collect. Hellsinger's maps are very, and I mean very, linear. You get an area to fight in, clear it, and move to the next one. After a few arenas comes the boss fight. Beat the boss and move to the next level. Since keeping your multiplier up is such a huge focus of the game, taking the time to explore acts more as a detriment than something worthwhile. The game does give you a tool to help keep your multiplier up during the downtime between battles, but we'll get there a bit later. Enemy design is excellent. There's a clear distinction between enemies and what it can be assumed they do. This guy has a shield. You can tell because he's holding a shield. This guy is really powerful. You can tell because he just took half your health bar. This thing is the boss. You can tell because it looks like the last level's boss. And the one before that. Yeah, one major disappointment in this game has to be the boss fights. There is one boss in this game, and you fight them 9 times. Granted, each fight is different, and there's a new moveset for each encounter, but it does take some wind out of my sails knowing that the next fight is going to be with the same guy as last time. On a technical level, the game looks fine. Talking about graphics makes me feel like I'm in church, so I'll keep it brief. The art of the game is stylized enough to where technical graphics don't really matter. Needless to say, the game looks nice. If you're a stickler for graphics, though, I do have a solution for you. If you go outside and stare at the sun long enough, eventually every game will look just like real life. Cutscenes are mostly done in this moving slideshow format, and for what it's worth, the art looks pretty good. And I'm sure the devs would have done more fully animated cutscenes if the budget allowed, so I'll cut them some slack there. The few animated cutscenes are very well done, though there is a distinct lack of thigh shots. A rhythm game can be made or unmade by one thing and one thing alone: the soundtrack. If the game has a bad soundtrack, it's dead in the water, send it back. Good thing it doesn't. In fact, the soundtrack is goddamn amazing. We've got a lot of big names on here, and boy does it feel like it. Lamb of God, Trivium. They've even got that one guy with the funny hair from System on here.
Kill yourself.
They can't even get that guy to write a song for his own band. Oh, and Refused if you like cyberpunk. The music in this game does precisely what it should do. It makes you feel like a badass, and that's all that really matters. The rhythm in the songs are clear and distinct enough that the player can follow along to the beat without too much need for a visual guide, which I honestly found more distracting than anything. I'm definitely no UI expert, but I feel like there's a less obtrusive way to do this. And I honestly think that the game would be pretty playable without it, so long as you're good enough at keeping beat on your own. Bobbing your head or tapping your foot also helps. It's actually really interesting just how much the gameplay ties into the music. You can dash faster by timing it to the beat, health drops drop more health when you destroy them to the beat, enemy movement patterns and attacks sync to the beat as well. The game also does a really good job of using sound to indicate things to the player. Gunshots done on beat sound more impactful and deadly than ones done off beat. The music becomes muffled when low on health, and the vocals on the music only kick in when you've maxed out your multiplier. It's all done in an effect to keep the player informed without having to take your eyes off the center of your screen where the action is, which is a genuinely great bit of design. The DLC also adds Paramore, so that's a letter grade. But it also adds Depeche Mode, which is a letter grade in the opposite direction.
You know, I don't sound like a queer or nothing, but I think Depeche Mode is a sweet band.
I don't have the DLC because I'm broke, but with the power of editing, I can simulate the experience for you, dear viewer. And that's all I can show you without having my channel suddenly and mysteriously disappear. I played on PS5, so I didn't have access to this, but the PC version of the game has excellent mod support, so if metal isn't your thing, and I'll admit it's not always my first choice, you can turn this game into a Barbie party if you so desire. You might be asking yourself, what's the point of the DLC if I can just add whatever custom song I want? And the answer is, I don't know, man, I'm just trying to review this shit, okay? Boomer shooters were invented in the early 1800s to give the people of the time more guns to slavishly masturbate to. So having good guns is just as important to this game as having an engine. Luckily, we're covered. First, you got the shotgun. Boom. Can't be a Doom clone without the shotgun. Fires every other beat, pretty slick. Next up, my favorite, the twins, Twinkle Bang and Twinkle Boom. 6 shots each, fires in quarter notes. Good range, good accuracy. They're gonna be your workhorse for most of the game. Next, we got the double Daryl Dixon Deluxe. 2 shots, quick reload, splash damage, beautiful. Mwah. Finally, we got these fucking things. I don't know. I didn't really use them because they made my head hurt. You get to pick 2 for your loadout. Normally, only having 2 weapons and a boom shoot is blasphemy, but trust me, it's plenty. Alongside these are your sword and this skull, aka Troy Baker. The sword does great damage up close, and 0 damage from far away. Pretty self-explanatory. The skull, named Paz, is a weird one. He does a tiny amount of damage, but he can keep your multiplier up without combat. I mostly just used him in the small moments of downtime between fights to keep my combo going. Paz and the sword come with you no matter what, so you have 2 mandatory weapons and 2 weapons that you choose from a pool of 4. There's also 2 DLC weapons, but, I'm not paying for that shit. Each weapon also has a unique ultimate attack that you build up the more you use them. Shotgun fires a high damage blast of fire wherever you're pointing. The revolvers place down a clone of yourself to draw fire and do a little damage as well. The crossbow creates a gravity well that traps your enemies, and the axes have birds, I guess. Your sword goes a little nuts, and Paz makes everyone stop in their tracks around you. The sword is essential, however, for keeping you alive. When you've sufficiently damaged an enemy, they will enter a downed state, which you can take advantage of by performing an execution, which will regain health dependent on the enemy killed. Weaker enemies might only drop a little health, while bigger ones will restore your health completely. Overall, it's not a huge weapon selection, but each of them feel unique and powerful enough to hold their own, except for the axes, fuck those things. There is a reloading mechanic, which is also one of the 7 deadly sins of boomer shooters. However, like all things, reloading plays into the rhythm, and boy does it feel good, so I give it a pass. Pressing the reload button a second time at the right moments reloads your guns instantly, putting you back into the fight quicker. Ammo is unlimited as well, because fuck you, Doom Eternal, let me use my shotgun. I played the game on the medium difficulty, because playing a rhythm game as a white guy is already the hardest difficulty setting there is, and I found that it wasn't too difficult. How easy the game becomes for you is largely dependent on how easy it is for you to get into
The flow.
how quickly you can adjust from paying attention to the rhythm meter to just feeling the vibes. The one point of difficulty to the game is one that I don't really like. You see, on the medium difficulty, you have 3 lives to complete a level. That's it. Every time you go down, you can sacrifice a chunk of your score to resurrect. Die 3 times and it's back to the beginning for you. There are no checkpoints, not even for the boss fights. Following the beautiful map I drew earlier, your basic goal is to go through each area until you reach the boss fight. Go down in one area, that's a life gone. And there are fucking geese outside my window. It might sound nice on paper as an added challenge, but there were more than a few times where I ended up restarting halfway because I wanted to keep all 3 lives for the boss fight just in case. They clearly chose this system for the leaderboard mechanic, to reward players who managed to complete a level without going down, but I don't see why deducting points for reloading a checkpoint wouldn't accomplish the same goal. Perfectionists can still fight on the leaderboards, while I don't have to worry about losing the last half hour of progress because I haven't fought this boss before and I don't know its moveset yet. It's not the worst thing in the world, and frankly it isn't something I had to deal with more than a couple of times, but it's there and it would have been nice to have had an alternative. Demon Mommy wants her voice back, and she's gonna step on you to get it.
You lucky bastard! What?
Like any good metal song, the story of Hellsinger takes a backseat to the vibe. There is a story, and it's not necessarily a bad one, but it acts more as set dressing for the gameplay. It's not something I like about boomer shooters, but it's pretty par for the genre. You play an unnamed demon called Unknown. Unknown is a Hellsinger, a special kind of demon whose voice has been stolen by the Red Judge, the ruler of Hell. Unknown teams up with Pause, a skull attuned to the rhythm of the universe, to get it back. Each level involves a trip through a new circle of hell in order to face down an aspect of the judge to regain part of your voice and unlock the next circle. As you continue onward, the judge gets more and more desperate in the fight against you, throwing more and more powerful enemies your way. All in all, a pretty generic story, but one that works well enough to set up the protagonist, her motivation, and her abilities, which is all we really need. Alongside the main campaign is a challenge mode, which throws a series of unique, you guessed it, challenges at the player. Completing these challenges gives you boons, which are selected in the loadout screen and give unique traits like preventing your multiplier from dropping below a certain threshold, or putting extra ammo in your gun on a perfect reload. Once you beat the campaign, there's also Leviathan mode, a round-based roguelike survival. The player starts out weakened with only Pause and the sword, and you slowly gain new abilities and weapons as the rounds go by. It was a nice little addition to extend the playtime a little bit, but I definitely wouldn't consider it a main feature. Voice work was very good. Pause serves as the narrator of the game, and as tired as I am of hearing Troy Baker's voice in every single game I play, he does a good job of playing Troy Baker playing a talking skull. Look, it's not that I don't like Troy Baker, I really do, but there are times when I hear a character speak and I think to myself, did they really need to get Troy Baker to do this one? I get he has a nice voice, but there are other voice actors with nice voices out there. It's like putting The Rock in your generic action-adventure movie. I expect you to do it, but I appreciate it if you don't. The only difference is that Troy Baker is a good actor. Overall, Metal Hellsinger has proved to be a bug-free experience. Except for that one time I went back to a previous area for health and found that the world had despawned not 5 feet behind me. Other than that, flawless performance. I did find the visual guides on the sides of the crosshairs to be a bit intrusive, but not so bad as to be immersion breaking. It would be nice to have an option to disable it, or at least make it smaller. For some, the playtime may be an issue. The current Steam price is $30, and that's for a game I managed to beat in a day. If the price isn't a concern... Fucking geese are back again. Holy shit. If the price isn't a concern, I would say that Hellsinger is the perfect length. It gives you time to explore its mechanics without overstaying its welcome. I don't think a full 30-hour campaign would go down as smoothly. Hellsinger currently sits at a very positive rating on Steam, but for the sake of fairness, let's check out some of the negative reviews. I'm sorry. Staring at the same tiny bit in the center of screen to try time attacks and missing absolutely everything going on around me is just not fun. Did you ever, try not doing that? It isn't that hard to look at other parts of the screen. I assume they mean staring at the rhythm guide, but I do have great news. You don't actually need that. You can follow the beat in your head. The music actually does sync up to the guide, so you can use your eyes for other things. It's really amazing what we can do with modern technology. It says on your review that you've played a grand total of 12 minutes, my guy. I'm not even sure you got past the tutorial before you closed the game and went, yeah, no, unplayable, boring, and unresponsive. Just like your review. Zing! Okay, this is my 5th time trying to read this one. The music is great, but the gameplay is garbage? First, why the hell the beat mether is 1 centimeter away from crosshair? It should have been on the crosshair, it would be easier to see. Second, who designed tutorial is an insult yourself? Keep pausing the game every 5 seconds, that's just bad design. Third, turned on always on beat mode, got 16 times pickup, the words are playing for 30 seconds, then they are gone. Why? Because there are no enemies for me to kill, and that garbage dropped to 8, then few seconds later it dropped to 2, because there is no enemies in the arena. The game is designed... Oh shit, did someone snipe him mid-review? Pour one out for the homie, he didn't even get to finish. Firstly, the tutorial doesn't pause that much, but the times that it does pause you is to, tutor you on how the game is played. If it didn't pause you, you'd lose your multiplier. Secondly, maybe you should have paid more attention when the game is paused because the tutorial tells you how to keep your multiplier up between arenas. All in all, Metal Hellsinger is a tight, well-oiled machine of an experience that does right what it says on the tin. If you like rhythm games or boomer shooters or feeling like a badass, there's honestly no better option in my mind. I really enjoyed my time with it and hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'd like to dedicate this video to all of the fundamentalist Christians in my comment section. Hey gang, I know this was not exactly my usual kind of video, but I'm hoping you enjoyed it nonetheless. I was getting kind of burnt out on the commentary videos, and this has always been more along the lines of the kind of thing that I've actually been wanting to do. I said like a year ago that I had a project in the works, and here it is, about 11 months late. I hope you all enjoyed because I had a whole lot of fun making this, and I will definitely be doing it again, eventually. That's all for tonight, gang. See ya.